Hello, I'm Mark Bleckley. I am the Associate Director and International Trade Consultant for the Van Andel Global Trade Center in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'd like to spend some time today talking to you about the Incoterm rule Ex Works. Ex Works is a common freight term that is used domestically, but we're not talking about a domestic transaction. We'd like to talk about an international transaction and using the Incoterm definition of Ex Works. Now, if you know anything about Incoterms, Incoterms is an internationally defined standard for freight terms that are specifically designed for international transactions. They have built-in seller and buyer responsibilities that are uniquely defined for air freight and ocean freight, and define things like export formalities and import formalities. So Ex Works is a unique term amongst these terms, and if you use them in your sales transactions, there's some things that you might need to know about the uniqueness of this term. It's the one term that switches the responsibility for the export declaration to the foreign buyer, which means the foreign buyer has to come to the United States and has to file their own export declaration. It also has another unique aspect to it in the fact that it tells the foreign buyer they have to also load your goods from your dock onto the carrier when they make arrangements and send the truck in. In real life, there's a couple problems with this. First off, you are very rarely ever not going to load onto the truck the equipment and the products that are being shipped out. The other aspect of it is that U.S. law requires you as the seller to retain some liability in the export declaration. They call this the U.S. principal party in interest. You are the exporter of record. They don't allow you actually to engage in a true Ex Works type of transaction. And as such, the recommendation or best practice is that you not use Ex Works in your international transactions. You switch to an FCA your dock. FCA your dock technically is more correct. It means free on the carrier, so you're loading it onto the carrier when the arrangements are made and the truck is sent in. But you also retain that responsibility to do the export declaration. Now, there is a thing called a routed transaction, but even in a routed transaction, according to the federal trade regulations, you are still the U.S. principal party in interest, and you still have to file the basic transaction information. So, the recommendation is take a look at your transactions that you're using Ex Works and consider transforming them into an FCA or dock. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Incoterms, you should take a look at our events on September 15 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We're going to do a seminar, a training seminar that's going to include Incoterms and customs valuation. We'd like to have you come join us. You can find more information on our website.